Hello, and welcome to Sutro Sidetalk, episode 162. I'm your host, Kamran Shushtar, and with me is...
James Selig.
We are here with, is it already the end of August coming up, right? It's already...
It's the 21st. We got like a third of the
21st.
month to go, just about.
Okay. Damn, everything... I feel like it was just 4th of July, like 2 minutes ago, and now it's already closing in on September, and I have to go to a wedding in like a week and a
Dude,
half.
I feel like it should be March. I don't know why. This year has been going so fast for me.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. I honestly, I'm like, give me that Hermione time turner so I can just kind of go back and be like, please, I don't have apparently enough time for anything.
Dude,
So,
you know what? The thing that always pops in my mind of like what I wish I had to like help me multitask better, and it's like weird because it's like such a catch-22 item,
two more arms.
is no, but the thing from um oh god, the Shaolin Showdown show. It
Oh,
was like a it was like a
the
ring that let you split yourself into multiple of you,
yes, wasn't that what
but
what's
it
his face had? The dude with the propellers, the evil guy.
something like that.
It
And
was like
like
Jack or something.
he and he like but the problem is it also like split your intelligence between all of you. So it's just like the more, unless you were like really, really intelligent or like on top of your
Oh,
shit,
that's
it
right.
would
They were
just
all
make a
fucking
bunch of
idiots.
dumbasses.
Yeah.
But it was just like the amount of times where I'm like, damn, if only I could just either not sleep or make a bajillion of me, I could get so much done.
Yeah, I remember they did that with the villain dude, and they did that with the lemon head guy. I forget what his name was.
Yeah, no, the main character he tried to use it for a bit, and he was just like, I could stay up all night eating ice cream and read all the books and play a bunch of video games and still train.
I slightly have a recollection of that, and they were all, yeah, they were just all fucking like idiots. Yeah.
Yeah, they were all like, he got like basically nothing done.
Dude, I remember that. That show was great. That was a good show.
I used to really like
What
that
was
show.
that on Kids WB or was that
I
on
think so,
Fox?
yeah.
Okay. I wonder if it would. I gotta
God,
see now if
dude, Kids
it's
WB used to be the best. It had like the Batman shows and like, yeah, Shaolin Showdown,
Pokemon,
and
Yu-Gi-Oh.
dude, they had so many great
It had
things.
everything there. Yeah, honestly, they it was. You'd watch like, oh, I'm gonna watch Justice League, and then after Justice League, I get to watch two Pokemon episodes, and I was like, yo, this is the best. I love that they gave two new Pokemon episodes a week sometimes. Like that was really, I felt it was kind of special. I remember the first time they did that was like one of the weeks I think where Charmeleon evolved into Charizard. It was the fossil episode. And I was just
Hmm.
like, Saturdays have just improved greatly, and I never expected it to be this good.
It'll never get better than this.
Yeah. But yeah, this is Sutra Side Talk. We talk what we watch and play, as well as select gaming, movie, TV show news. And this week, we've got both gaming and movie. So I like how I said it's just singular and movie. Uh, Destiny 2, I know we literally just did the Witch Queen Part 2 episode like not that long ago, only like a few weeks ago, if anything, I feel like. But the season of the Haunted is wrapping up. By the time we release this, actually, we're putting this out on a Tuesday. So on that day, the new season of is going to start.
Yeah,
And
it's still
insert
redacted.
name here. Yeah, it's still yeah. We don't know what it is yet, and they're not revealing it until the morning of its launch, which is kind of annoying,
Yeah,
but
when I signed into
whatever.
Destiny this morning or this afternoon, it actually had a message saying like, "Tune in for the reveal of Season of the Redacted,"
Yeah,
like on Tuesday or whatever. I was like, really? Because usually they have some sort of reveal video like the week before or something like that, I
they used
think.
to. They've been doing it week of now, which is
Hmm.
honestly, I don't like it because I just want to know ahead of time just so I can
You
get
could
all
prepare
excited.
mentally
Yeah,
and stuff
I
like
can
that.
mentally prepare, I can get excited, and then when we get into it, I could just go right in and play. Now I'm like, well, now I want to watch it first before I play it, but I'm pretty sure they're putting it out before it starts, and then I don't they fix servers enough where I don't think they get into the point where, on launch day of the new season, it goes like, oh, you're in a queue now because you can't get in or the servers crash because there's too many people or something.
Yeah.
Because that used to happen a lot, and you're like, oh, I don't get to play until like evening because that's when it's going to happen. So launch day, you only actually get to play for like 5 hours instead of like 24 or whatever. But yeah, so Destiny 2, we're going to talk about the season of the Haunted that just is about to wrap up. Definitely not even close to as long as our last couple Destiny 2 episodes because we're not talking like a full expansion. plus like a 30th anniversary thing, plus Season of the Risen. This is just a singular season.
It's just like a chapter of Destiny,
Yeah,
basically.
it will have a lot less talking points, just like four of them really. And then afterwards, we're actually going to talk the Jordan Peele film Nope, his third film. And before all that, we have news. We're just covering that Embracer is pretty much going to be doing everything Lord of the Rings related, and more so than we had expected. But yeah, we'll get to that in
Yeah, I
time.
woke up to that news that morning and I was just like, excuse me, what?
Yeah, I was
Huh?
at first I was like, oh, okay, the games, yeah, and then I read more and I was like, what? I was so shocked because well, we'll talk about it all. Uh, yeah, and then if we have time, we'll see if there's maybe one other thing we could throw in there. But at the end of the episode, we'll talk about what's coming up, and because we're pretty much, I think, solid on our next two episodes of what's going to be going on. So we'll give you all that information and whatnot. But ready to jump right in.
Yep.
And yeah, let's just do a 5-minute timer for this
Yeah,
one.
that's
I
what I
don't, I don't
figured.
feel like going too long on it. Uh, yeah, so Lord of the Rings has been not the whole.
Well, they bought a bunch of stuff, but like the biggest part of it is definitely, at least for us, this is the Lord of the Rings rights.
Yeah, it's well, yeah, Embracer. If you guys don't know yet, even though we probably talked about it multiple times, Embracer is this massive, like conglomerate parent company of
Yeah,
multiple
formerly
different.
THQ Nordic,
Yeah,
which is like
formerly.
basically just the company that bought all the THQ rights that were available that didn't already get snatched up when that happened.
Yeah, they went from like a dev team to a small publisher to now a massive parent company that is just insane in size.
They seem to just like, it seems like almost at least once a month we get a new, like Embracer Group has bought another thing.
And they're like, oh yeah, we have hundreds of games in development or something at this point now. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's not even a joke. Like that's actually a thing. And it's kind of scary because, you're so focused on Sony or Microsoft has bought so and so company. And meanwhile, you're like, oh my God, it's a lot. And it is a lot. But then you look at Embracer and they're just like, sorry, I hit the
It's
mic
like
there.
Embracer and Tencent are the two ones that you hear of every once in a while. You're just like, ooh, I don't like that they're buying everything.
Yeah, Tencent's like, oh, we want to get more into, we want to dig into Ubisoft right now. And I'm like,
Yeah, I don't
ooh,
know. I don't
it's
like
already
that.
bad enough. Please don't make this company worse. Don't do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, Embracer. They are, like I said, they're a big company. Just think THQ Nordic. You have Gearbox Software. You have Saber
oh
Interactive, which
yeah.
is a publisher. Koch Media, which is a publisher. All these, there's like at least 4 to 6 publishing groups within this parent company.
Like it
Kind of
would take
like,
a while to talk about everything that Embracer Group owns or has a
yeah.
part of. It's ridiculous.
And they're doing everything from original games to remasters to remakes of everything. Like they're doing like Destroy All Humans 2 remake coming out right now too. Like that's a whole thing. But the big thing here, like I said, is Lord of the Rings. And they are trying to, well, they're not trying to, they've acquired the rights to Lord of the Rings. So they don't own Lord of the Rings. Like it's not theirs. It's still, the Tolkien estates and everything else. But what they have gotten are the rights to it via games, which, is expected. That's fine. I didn't
Yeah.
really complain about that really. But then what?
Ooh boy, more games like Gollum, maybe.
Well, that's why I'm like, it can't get worse right now. We're getting a fucking Gollum game that no
That's
one wanted
true.
nor asked for. I'm probably not going to buy it or even look at it because it's just I don't want to play a fucking Gollum stealth game. I just don't. It doesn't sound interesting to
Yeah.
me.
And basically all that WB did with the rights was make like the two like Mordor games, which people liked, and patented the Nemesis system so no one else could use it. And then they just didn't use it again.
Yeah. And so here's the thing here. So they've acquired the Middle Earth Enterprises from Saul Saints Company, and with it, the worldwide rights to motion pictures, video games, board games, merchandising, theme parks, and stage productions relating to the
Theme
writing
parks.
of J.R.R.
Interesting.
Tolkien. Notice how it's everything but television. So I think
Yeah, so that
uh,
Amazon can still keep their shit going.
so Amazon still lays claim to television, but otherwise, you're looking at film, which games expected, and I expect them to hopefully not do some bullshit. But now at the same time, I'm expecting them to potentially do bullshit because of their potential ideas already for this. So let's just think about this. a game company now wants to make movies for Lord of the Rings, and they also want to uh do like fucking, I don't know if they want to do a theme park. I don't know if they want to do board games or whatever, but they can basically expand and profit off of Tolkien. And Tolkien is easy to profit off of because that
Oh
name
yeah.
sells. I fucking buy a lot of shit. Hell, I still want to buy fucking Lord of the Rings Monopoly because it's so unique and shit. And
Well, who wouldn't want to own Minas Tirith?
yeah, and also the fact the little ring moves with you too, and it actually makes the game go shorter, which is kind of crazy too.
Interesting. Hmm.
If I remember correctly, yeah, if you rolled like there's a certain die that had the ring on it, it would move one space forward, and by the time it gets all the way around, it's like, oh,
Oh.
the ring is gonna fall into Mount Doom and it's destroyed because Mount Doom's like the last um owner, like the place it's like the boardwalk in Monopoly. It's like the most expensive piece. So it's like it's literally Monopoly with a time limit, which is kind of nice.
Oh yeah, because oh god, that is the one reason why I hate playing Monopoly because it could go on for so long.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The company is already talking about spin-off films starring Gandalf, Aragorn, Gollum, and more. So think about this. It's not
No.
they're also like Galadriel, Eowyn, and other characters from this is what Embracer said. This is a quote from them. Other opportunities include exploring additional movies based on iconic characters such as Gandalf, Aragorn, Gollum, Galadriel, Eowyn, and other characters from the literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien. Embracer said it will also continue to provide new opportunities for fans to explore the fictive world through merchandising and other experiences. Now, we don't really get too much Lord of the Rings. We're getting right now simultaneously Rings of Power and Gollum the game. And
Neither of which I'm that interested
yeah,
in.
I don't care about Gollum. It's just not interesting to me. Rings of Power, I'm very, very worried about on whether it's going to be good quality or not. So I just don't know where I stand on it. I won't know until I actually watch the show,
Yeah.
which apparently is actually the premiere. You could potentially see it in a theater. And I was like, I might do that actually, just to see. And then if I get angry, then I burn it out of the theater. It's one of the, there you go. Vent some frustration. But in a sense, you're like, okay, cool. We could potentially get a lot more Lord of the Rings, which, could sound nice if done correctly. On the other hand, they could go the Marvel route, which, I'm sorry, it's a bad word to me now. If you say, we want to make it like Marvel, that means like, or Star Wars, oversaturation to a definitive limit where you're going to be getting like, oh, here's Lord of the Rings. And, when anything Lord of the Rings comes out, it feels very special because it's not something that comes that often. That's why I honestly like Lord of the Rings more than like all those different Disney sub brands like Star Wars. And like, yeah, I like Lord of the
Because
Rings
it
more than
hasn't
Star
been
Wars.
like milked dry.
It hasn't been milk dry. Anything that comes from it, because it's just so nicely, routinely put out, very like not uncommon to rarely, makes it feel that much more special.
It
And
even the Hobbit movies, like doing three of them felt like one too many
yeah,
for me.
yeah, no, it was still too much. That was the thing. And the fact that you could try to make a movie with each character, it tells me one of two things. One, what I've wanted for them, for just people that are utilizing the properties, because it would never have dawned on me to have more Lord of the Rings movies. I literally don't think there would be anything else. I'm like, okay, it's done. Like, maybe they'll do a Similarion movie. That's about it. But it would never cross my mind to do anything focusing on the characters we've already gotten in those 6 other movies. And
Yeah.
like, same thing with games. I don't think about that. I'm like, oh my God, we have so much to explore. We have all the shit that happens in the North while everything's going on with the War of the Ring. We have all the shit that happens before. We have like areas we just never explored, like Rune and this, like the Easterlings and
Yeah,
all this
like what
shit.
the hell are the Blue Wizards doing?
Yeah, there's all these different things I've always wanted to see for them to explore because it's just stuff that Tolkien may not have already even like utilized. So it's something that people can create and do more of. Just not like, kind of like Shadow of War and Mordor, except not like War because that was way too fan fictiony a little bit. Um,
Yeah, like,
they made their
what
own
if
fucking ring.
Shelob was a sexy woman?
What if Shelob was woman and you want to fuck, and then also you get ring that is blue? It is also cool ring. It is just also silver blue, and
What if you made
all
your own One Ring? So now
yeah.
there's two One Rings.
You think
I
that One
don't
Ring's
think you
so
thought
cool?
that
Well,
through.
check out my One Ring. Your Two Ring, it's my So fucking, I can't.
My
So
one ring is more powerful than your one ring. uh,
God, yeah. So I don't know what you could do with this because you're going kind of backwards here if you're just doing solo movies on all these other
yeah,
characters.
that's the
Because it's
thing. I
like
don't want them to just like look at every single character and they're like, okay, you get a movie and you get a movie and you get a movie.
even looking at the appendices that are in like the back of Return of the King that has everything, like Aragorn going fucking insane for a bit, and like that Gondor civil war that occurs with him and stuff. Like I get that's the only thing I could see them doing a movie on, unless they go like, oh, it's young Strider and shit.
Yeah,
Like
that's the thing. Like, I'd love to see like a young Aragorn like Strider movie, maybe, or like well, I'd rather a show, but like
well, that's so with all these characters, it wouldn't be the stuff during the movie, it would be like before or after. And I'm just like, can you even do that with all of them? Because I see that Aragorn is obviously the most capable because of the amount of text that's given about him before and after. Of like, yeah, he grew up with like Elrond's sons, so he was with the two brothers, and they always did like hunting and shit. And there's stuff there you could do. But more importantly, like I said, the one you could actually do something about is like the Mad King Aragorn that occurs for a bit before he comes back to kind of his senses. And then
eh.
Gandalf, there's not really much to do there unless you're doing some weird god shit where you're like, he was born and came to the earth as a wizard.
Yeah. The only
Uh,
movie I can think of that would be worthwhile doing is like literally make a movie out of the very opening scene of The Lord of the Rings where they show like all the armies of man and elf and dwarf coming to, I don't know if the dwarves were there, but like coming together to fight like the forces of Mordor and Sauron just like destroying everyone. Like it'd be cool to see a movie where you see like the different people's like preparing for that battle and then like I don't know if we'll ever even come back, but we have to at least try and shit like that.
I mean, they're more or less kind of doing that with Rings of Power because it sounds like they're going to do the Last Alliance at a certain
Eh,
point, even though
we'll see how
the
that
time in
goes.
that fucking it's the timing in that show is so confusing. I can't tell when it's supposed to take place still.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
I guess just basically, I can't. I would not want to see Embrace Your Group try to make like a series of movies based off each individual character in
Yeah,
like because that truly to me would just feel like them trying to wring out every piece of content they can get out of like whatever exists in the lore.
yeah, I don't want that either. And I mean that's pretty much it. There's not really any other news on it. We are not going to hear anything probably for a while until they actually have
Yeah.
announcements formally about like here's what games and movies we're going to do, and here's a the only thing I could see on the bright side is fucking make some New Zealand Lord of the Rings theme park or something, and I'd be like, oh
Oh, that'd be
fuck,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
then that'd be kind of cool. Uh, there's like an obstacle course, bring the ring and scale Mount Doom and stuff, and I'd be like, oh fuck.
If they made like a Hobbiton like hotel, that'd be awesome.
Hobbiton Hotel, yeah. But yeah, that's really it. We're afraid, and we don't know what the fuck they're gonna do. But that's the news. Moving on to the Destiny 2 Season of the Haunted kind of review on that. And starting off, really, we'll talk story, and then we'll move into kind of like the season itself of just how the season was, plus Solar 3.0, which is the new thing in there, and just kind of how we're doing, how we felt like going through it and everything else, and just our recent experiences and whatnot. But the story was interesting because it goes with like hey, we're back to the moon, Leviathan's there, Callus is doing his thing, and he's trying to gain control of the pyramid there because he's pretty much becoming a disciple of
Yeah, I really like how
Witness.
they progressed Callus's story from like when we first met him is just like one of the only semi-friendly Cabal who's just like, yeah, like come to my Leviathan and kill a bunch of shit and entertain me. I'll give you treasures and stuff. And now he's like a weird space fungus that's trying to take over the Earth. Maybe.
Yeah, he definitely has betrayed us, or not betrayed us, but he switched. He never switched sides. He always showed like, hey, help me fight like the Hive and like other
Yeah.
Cabal that are
Like
trying
whatever
to.
serves him,
Yeah,
basically.
pretty much. And he always knew like during the season of the opulence, he knew the darkness would come and he knew the world would end. And he's like, I just want to.
There's insinuations that he's known about like what's out there in the dark since before he even came to our system. Because like
Yeah, he ran into it while he was in the Leviathan before.
yeah, like before he got control of like steering the Leviathan. Supposedly out there in the dark, he witnessed something and it
Yeah.
changed him forever.
In the lore before, like the whole thing was like he wanted you to become his shadow, and you two would literally just witness the darkness and the world together and celebrate and like have
Yeah.
feasting and shit. And it was just like a weird like, okay, yeah, you're kind of crazy, but all
I think
right, thanks for
suppose
giving us a bunch of treasure.
yeah, unless I'm remembering incorrectly, he basically was like, I might be able to protect like just me and my friends. Like
Possibly,
maybe
yeah,
maybe you could be one of my friends if you prove yourself to me.
yeah. And they brought back the Leviathan as a destination to an extent.
Which was really interesting. It wasn't huge, but it was cool that like they actually brought back the Leviathan as like a small patrol area.
Yeah, and we've utilized the Leviathan multiple times. We utilized it for the raid, the Leviathan raid. We've
Mm,
utilized it for both
the
raid
raid
layers
layers, yeah.
and as well as the Season of the Opulence activity that was during that season, and
Yeah.
also the Crown of Sorrow raid too. But the
Well, that was one of
location,
the raid layers, wasn't it?
no, that was the raid that came during Season of the Opulence during year two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Weird. I thought it was a raid layer.
no. And so what they did after that was bring this in, and it's not all of that stuff. So it's just specifically locations from the original Leviathan raid. So
Yeah.
you have the Castellum, which is kind of like the open area you have when you come in originally, and you're just trying to get into the different areas of the Leviathan. You get that, and you get certain
The royal oh my god, the royal pools and
pleasure
the
gardens.
garden for sure.
Yeah, pleasure gardens, royal pools. You do get to Callus's like throne area, whereas Robo Callus would be
Yeah.
there where you fight, but that's only like for part of the beginning of the story, and then you don't really come back to that area. It's just kind of like a brief thing you actually
There's
see.
also like the different severance missions that have you like rooting around the underbelly of the Leviathan.
Yeah, uh, and yeah, it's cool honestly to see it come back again. And story
For
wise, it was
sure.
actually really cool. I really like the what would you call it, the progression you get here, because it's focusing on Zavala, Crow, and Keitel, and it's giving you a lot of backstory.
Yeah, I loved learning about these characters a lot. I mean, like Crow, we didn't really learn too much new. It's just like,
It's just him dealing with all the bullshit he's been dealing with since
yeah,
season of the Lost.
and like the guilt of like knowing he used to be Aldrin, which like so many people hate.
Yeah, and I guess starting off the Crow, the cool thing about this is they're growing Crow as a character and progressing his story season by season a lot since we've gotten really since what was it, Shadowkeep? No, Beyond Light. It was Beyond Light.
Yeah,
Since Beyond Light, almost every season we've gotten more and more of him. First, it was just him learning to become a guardian. Then it was him learning to be part of the Vanguard, not as the Hunter Vanguard, but just like learning part of it. And then now coming to learn about Aldrin, and in this season coming to terms with his memories of Aldrin and kind of knowing who he was and everything else, and now utilizing it to his advantage, where it's like I'm still me, but now I know who I was before, and I'm going
yeah.
to utilize
Like I
that.
can learn from my past mistakes and I
Yeah,
don't have to be that person.
and even Aldrin is like, and don't you could also still do the good things I did and stuff,
Yeah.
because
Like
he wasn't
not
all bad.
he basically was like, I not everything I did was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see them kind of merge together more or less. And then because the whole thing about this was like the cool thing that Eris did with like that ritual that connects them with all these different ghosts and stuff. And we learned that other characters have these haunting ghosts too. And Eris already went through it in Shadowkeep. Like she already dealt with that. And I love
Yeah.
the fact that the Leviathan is over Earth or over the moon right now, just kind of like doing this thing, and it's more like moon's haunted again, y'all. Let's go back. We
Yeah.
gotta we gotta deal with this shit again, fucking ghosts and stuff. But
I do love
Zavala's,
that
yeah,
because like the whole point of the ritual was like they I think it was like Eris was worried that Callus was trying to
commune with the pyramid.
yeah, and like figure out what the phantoms are so he could use it against us because like the whole point of those is that they seem to mimic the things that we most fear or most regret and stuff like that. Like it basically whatever would cut the deepest, that's what it shows you.
Yeah.
And so Eris was like, okay, well, how I've been studying the Crown of Sorrows. I've been studying the pyramid for a while. Maybe I can bind us to these phantoms so that if we can figure out how to reverse it in a way, we can overcome these phantoms and maybe we can use them against Callus instead.
Yeah. And the cool thing too is that Eris is kind of pushing boundaries here by taking control of the Crown of Sorrow, where she's like,
She's
"Oh, I
definitely
can do
kind of
it
like the
without."
mad scientist type that's like, I have no fear of at least trying to use this dangerous shit because if we get it right, it could be helpful.
Yeah, and she's like, "We have a new witch," and she's referring to herself, and it's just like, "Oh shit, we saw the dark future. This is interesting."
That's
And
what
we're
makes it so nerve wracking
it's
is like
yeah,
she in the dark future, Eris is literally like the biggest bad guy. Like it's
yeah.
crazy.
Savathun is her underling, which is
Yeah.
horrifying.
Oh my god.
Uh, we're gonna see exactly what that's gonna do, I guess, in the next couple seasons, maybe. Who knows? I think we'll know by Lightfall, if anything. But uh,
Yeah,
we have like what, two
probably.
more seasons before Lightfall at this point? Yeah, two more
Yeah,
seasons.
we're like halfway through the 4 seasons.
Yeah. So Zavala has Safia, who is his former wife. It was very
That was
interesting.
interesting to find out that he was even married and had like an adopted kid too.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it too was the fact that it was trying to show like all this real shit that can happen with real people, where they had a kid, they lost the kid, he died to Fallen, and when you lose a kid, it can ruin a marriage, and it did for them. And she actually like left Zavala, and or they ended it mutually, but she left, got married, and had another, and actually had a kid, and then they died
Yeah,
because Zavala lives for a much longer period of
that
time than
was
they
such a
do.
sad like that was one of the animated like videos they did in like the mid-season that they've been doing where he talks about how yeah, like what you just said, he had a wife and he had a child and like the kid tried to be like Zavala and he died in battle and Zavala he blamed himself and Sophia was like she didn't blame him because like what are you gonna do, like control your son forever?
He has like survivor's guilt anyway too at this
Yeah,
point. Like he's outliving all
he's
the
like
people he
literally
loves.
that was the saddest thing is he's like literally never forgiven himself for what happened to his son that he had with Sophia for literally generations because he keeps going to her grave and her children's graves like asking for forgiveness from every one of the generations and it's just like damn dude, that's fucking sad that you've been holding that grief for literally like possibly a century at this point at least.
Yeah. And you know, by the cool thing about this is by the end of this season, you like, or the end of the story here, it's them coming to terms and kind of progressing as characters of
Yeah,
like he's getting over that now. He's forgiving himself, and Crow is coming to terms with being Aldrin at the same time. And then Keitel, her thing was Gaul, which was very interesting.
it was super interesting because she talked about Gaul like a hero, and we've only ever seen him as like the guy who like murdered so many people in the city to try to steal the light from us.
And her whole thing was, is she measuring up to him correctly? And he's like, "You're
Yeah,
a disgrace. You look at what you're doing with them." And she's like, "Yeah, you fucking die. Look what you did." Like,
yeah, like the Cabal used to bow to no one now, and now you like break bread with our enemies at this like Vanguard table. Like, what is wrong with you?
yeah. And she's like, "We lost our home and all this shit." She gives honestly valid explanations very easily. And I'm like, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
called not dying. It makes sense. Survival is the key
Yeah,
thing
but
here.
I can understand though that like to
It's
her
not their way.
upbringing, yeah, that's the thing. She's literally had to basically betray everything that the Cabal used to be for like generations and generations of just conquerors, and she is trying a different path, which is diplomacy, and it's like literally trying to undo generations of expectations is difficult.
Yeah. Uh, Otherwise, they were really cool. The missions themselves, I liked a lot. the way they go through the 7 missions. Each mission, it's like 6 story missions going through there, and each character has 2 missions. And the first mission is them losing. It's always them
Yeah.
losing. The second mission is them coming back, kind of refined and understanding why they lost and fixing it and coming to terms with their ghosts. Like opening, like they have their closet of skeletons and they take care of it. They clean it out. Then you get like a final one where it's all 3 together and you get like the full farewell with like all their
Yeah.
spirits. And I do like that, these ghosts are like heckling them. They're fucking with them the
It
whole
was
time.
interesting to see, like, once they successfully completed their like severance ritual, the phantoms turned from like creepy red shadows to like just full on like luminous ghosts.
Yeah, and they talk a lot more like positively. Like
Yeah.
if you do we'll talk about it in a bit, but when you do the containment mission, the containment activity in the Leviathan, sometimes you actually hear them talk and stuff. And it was
Yeah, that
funny
was
because
interesting.
there's a weird conversation between the ghost of Safia and the ghost of Gaul. And then Uldren's like, I'm sure you two are great at parties. Because he just sounds so fucking weird, and you're like, oh, it's just 3 good ghosts talking to each other, and it's so, you're like, wait, so are they alive? Are they ghosts? Like, what's happening? Why am I listening to them on my comms? I don't understand what's
Yeah,
going
it's
on right
interesting
now.
because like Eris mentioned like no, these aren't really ghosts. They're just reflections that the pyramid is sending out. And like, but they're basically just ghosts.
Yeah, more or
Like they
less.
remember everything.
Uh, the cool thing too is, the story itself. I liked it. Like I said, the the length has been interesting for a lot of these things now because it feels like
This
they've
one felt
lowered
a
it.
lot longer than the last one.
Well, I feel like also though they've been lowering the story. Has it always been like 7 weeks of story? Is that what we've been
Uh
getting this whole time? I can't
I
tell.
think it's like varied for each season because like I
I
could
feel
have
like it used to be like
sworn,
10
yeah, no,
and then it lowered
usually
them.
it goes up to 10 and then like the last 2 weeks are for like clearing stuff up basically, like
Yeah,
whatever bounties and not bounties but whatever challenges you haven't done. But
yeah. I feel like
yeah,
it's been
for
different
like
now.
like last season we seemed to only get like 6 weeks worth of stuff, and then
Yeah.
like the rest of the season was just like finish your grinding, I
Well, like I
guess.
said, it was 7 because the seventh one is like the final conclusion mission.
Right.
But yeah, it was
But yeah,
7 out of
this
12.
season definitely felt longer because it had like the 6 missions you had to do, like plus the extra ones, so I guess 7. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get other characters get the ghosts as well, but they don't necessarily stick with them. Like you learn Ikora and Mithrax also get ghosts. Ikora's is actually Cade. And because it's
uh,
Cade, she just turns the ship around and doesn't go to the Leviathan. She's like, I'm going back
oh
home.
no.
It's a whole thing. Because the whole thing is like she doesn't have to deal with it, but it's Cade straight up just like, oh, so I see you're hanging out with my murder now. That's great. And then
Yeah.
Mithrax is like, I think the fallen that he kind of killed throughout his life when he was in House of Light, back when he was still, I guess, more brutal, if anything.
Right.
More when he was more of a traditional fallen, where they do docking and all this other shit. So like
Yeah.
those are the ones haunting him. And then we get Callus. Callus is ironically enough Keitel, is his ghost.
Interesting.
You learn all about it in the duality dungeon, which she is actually his final. She's the ghost of the dark Keitel is the boss of the you get Keitel and the other one being Galeron. Galeron comes back too. For he's like the midway boss, and it's not big Galeron. It's like, remember the mini Galerons during the raid,
No.
during the Crown of Sorrow raid?
Oh yeah.
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 So
Okay.
it would be the mini Galeron. You'd be fighting the mini Galerons, and then
Interesting.
that would be the halfway boss, and then the second boss is the Keitel Ghost. So that was it's very the duality dungeon I think was really well done in terms of kind of puzzlement, because you're going through and it does kind of dual versions of the world. So you'll go through one area and you're kind of stuck at this spot, but you see a bell in the distance and you shoot it and it turns it into the ghost realm. Like it's all like the reddish
Interesting.
shit. And that's how you progress through that portion of the Leviathan, kind of learning through everything. And then you it gets kind of raidish honestly, in terms of what you're doing, like you have to when you get into like some of the boss phases, it's like oh, in order to do damage, you have to get banners from scions. In order to get the scions, you have to like get into these certain rooms and have one person hit the bells so you can like switch between the
I
different
think
like
that's what's so cool about
worlds.
the dungeons in general is that they feel like just like mini raids.
Yeah, and well, this one feels just more in terms of like the raid puzzle style. It felt more in that line compared to like
Mm.
previous dungeons, because other dungeons, you're just shooting and going through. I think like what was the last dungeon was the 30th anniversary one, and when you go through it, like you're shooting the fucking the biggest closest thing to a puzzle is the servitor cannon launch. When you kill the servitor and you like launch it towards the um that giant ship that you're trying to get into. But it's not really that much of a puzzle. Whereas this one, it's like you straight up have to die and keep trying over and over if you haven't done it before to figure it out or watch a video. Otherwise, you're like, how do I do this? Like, how does this
Mm.
work? So I thought that was pretty clever, and I'm glad they put this out. And I do like that you do feel like this is a much more intelligent dungeon. And I think we've talked about before because we know like the next season we're getting King's Fall or Wrath of the Machine, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be King's Fall, and
Yeah,
everyone
I think
knows it's
most
not
people
gonna
are betting
be
King's
it's not
Fall.
gonna be Dark Below,
That'd be
or
so funny.
Crota's End. That's what it was called. But a lot of people talking about it. And it's like Crota's End would be a good dungeon. I don't think
I
it
have
needs to
joked
be.
about that
Yeah,
too.
they could
Yeah,
they
like
could
that.
just put that as a dungeon, and I think
Espe-
that'd be fine.
I think mostly that it's funny because like by the end of Destiny 1, people were able to speedrun Dark Below or Crota's End like so fast that it was basically like a strike.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have the Leviathan as itself as an area, and you have the containment event, which isn't bad. It's like instead of doing the Psyops Battleground or the what was the one before that? The season of the Lost one. I forget what it's called, but they have all these different events that are either like 3 to 6 players, and it's like a full activity, whereas the containment event in the Leviathan is more like a public event. It's just a
Yeah.
public event you enter in. It's more akin to that of the Blind Well and the Altars of Sorrow.
I was gonna say it's closest to the Altars of Sorrow specifically because you're dealing with like nightmares,
Yeah,
and it even has like the same kind of like kill enough nightmares to build up like a meter kind of thing.
yeah. There's like a whole time limit and everything else. So like, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not one that goes like heroic, but there's 3 tiers to it, and you go through and like by the third one, like you get extra rewards, and one of them is like a special like essence that you can take into a sever mission and get even more rewards in the sever mission if you have it. So I would actually grind that until I got one of those, and then go into another sever mission just so I could get the max rewards. Uh,
At least it didn't take too much grinding to get one of those like dread cores or whatever they were called.
so the thing was like the activity itself isn't bad. It's actually enjoyable. I liked it. The only
Yeah, I
annoying
had fun
thing
doing
was
it.
that I guess, getting into the seasonal challenge set list for the season itself, they try to force you to grind the hell out of it. Now, I think we've covered everything in terms of activity for the season. Like, we're not trying to go super, super crazy, but like in the seasonal challenges, there's a lot of them that are like, oh, just keep clearing that event, that public
Yeah,
event.
one of them was like do it like 10 times or specifically do like the third tier like 10 times.
And that's like some of those, but like there was one that was basically saying like, oh, just keep doing this event. And you look at the percentage for it and it goes incredibly slowly. It felt like you're barely making progress with each completion. And then you think, oh, I'm almost done with it, right? Cool. And then you go through further in the weeks and there's a 2 of that one and then a 3. So you have
Oh, I
three
hate
sets of
those when
that,
it's
and it's like they make progress each time. So if you finish the first one, that same amount of progress is in the second and third one, but obviously it's a lot less in terms of the percentage because it wants even more. And it's like you had to play a lot throughout the entire season. So if you missed like part of the season and you're coming in later, like I did, because I took actually a good amount of time off this time.
Yeah, I wasted, I don't want to say wasted, but I spent so much time playing other shit. Like recently, like I started playing Cyberpunk recently. I dropped that to play the story content for this season, like before that went away. Apparently it's not going away, but at least I finished the season content for now.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, like I figure where I was going with that. I guess continue.
So what I didn't like about it was, you do this season pass, or you get the deluxe edition with the expansion, and it gives you all four seasons and everything else. But you paid money for these like season passes, and you're going through and doing these seasonal challenges, and the challenges are some are really stupid challenging. And I think this is out of the all the seasons we've had so far with these challenge lists, this is probably the worst one we've ever had because of how much grinding it forces you to do compared to others.
Yeah, I didn't even try. I was just like, I want to get the story done, and that's all that I care about.
And I did a bunch, and I look at it at the end and I'm like, dude, I didn't even make a dent in some of these. It was like ridiculous how many they want you to do that for. And it's not even just the like the waves for the containment. It's like, oh, vestiges of dread, which is like the currency of this season that you're trying to do. That
Uh-huh.
one is like forever. And there's like a couple more, but they're just like ridiculous. And some even like were tied to the story, where it's like, the first 7 weeks it's like complete this story, like story number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. And it's also like there's one other bullet point down there, and it's like also do this. And some of them were fine. Others, it felt like it was just the same thing where it's like, why is this so grindy? Like, why are you making me do all this extra amount? And this is definitely the season where I felt like, if I had stuck in it and I didn't take like a 10-week break, I would actually feel like exhausted from, I because I won't lie, Witch Queen fucking fatigued the shit out of me. I spent so much time doing everything as much as I could in that expansion and season of the Risen simultaneously, that by the end of it, I'm like, okay, I'm tired. And Risen, season of the Haunted comes, and I'm like, fuck, like I need a break. I'm gonna go play some Hunt and Cycle instead. And if I didn't do that, I did this whole season nonstop, I would have been done. Like
It almost makes me wonder, like, should they not start a new? I mean, how I don't know how they would do this. I guess because it's like they have a schedule going now. But like, do you think it's bad that they release a new season with like a new expansion every time? Because it always feels like
and I think
there's
it's
now
fine.
two different things you have to like focus on.
I think it's okay, especially like the expansion's not going anywhere. At least for
No, that's
three
fair.
years, it's not
Yeah,
going to go anywhere. You never
that's
know, it might
true. You don't
actually
have to
go.
rush for that.
Bye Forsaken. Maybe Shadowkeep's gonna be gone after
Yeah,
this year. I'm not too sure when
that's
life
so sad.
when Lightfall comes. I'm like, I bet they'll be like, Shadowkeep's gone, fuck you, and I'll be like, oh damn.
We took Europa Europa away this time.
A new light player comes in. Yeah, start the story with Beyond Light. What the fuck is happening? Who is this? Who is that? Who's fucking oh my god, they won't even get it. Why is there a giant robot head? But yeah, it's way too grindy this season, and I really hope they didn't do that for the upcoming season, because I mean, this season coming up, I'm gonna be a lot more in it. Um, I did appreciate, because I said I wouldn't guild any seals this season either. I was taking a break off of all that stuff too, and I didn't for the most part. I just guilded Dredgen because I happened to return the week of like a double infamy week, and I was like, oh fuck it, and I like got everything done for it. But I did like that for at least that one. I don't know if they've fixed other seals, because I did notice that they had introduced a lot more now. But the gilding for Dredgen has been improved, where it used to be like, oh, get 50 wins in the season, and now it's gone down to 30. And I'm like, that actually,
That's not bad. That's not
that's
too.
a
That's not
lot better.
terrible.
That they decreased 40% of how many wins you would need, because you would be grinding a while, because you're like, you have to win every single time, and you're not guaranteed to win every single time. In fact, sometimes maybe you're even losing more than you're winning. And it's like, dude, imagine how much time you're putting in just to get a fucking little like special colored dredge and seal.
Yeah.
It's killer.
Like at a
Uh
certain point, you kind of ask yourself like, is this worth my time?
Yeah, and they've changed everything else now too. Like Crucible, instead is being broken up where they're gonna have a new seal for Crucible, but also Iron Banner is its own seal now, and it has its own like I think gilding as well. They have a they are making, we already knew there were seals for like, moments of triumph, but now they're gonna do seals, it seems like, for every special holiday. And along with that, they are also doing a kind of like gilding for all the seasons where it's like the year thing where it's like, oh, did you do Season of the Lost? Did you do uh Festival of the Lost, Solstice, uh what do you call it? The Dawning and Guardian Games. If you do all four, then you get another seal. And it's like, but you have to do all four. And I'm like, oh, I did not finish. I forget which one I didn't finish. I think it was Guardian Games. I barely touched it. And I was like,
Yeah,
ooh,
same.
well, I'm not getting this seal now, apparently, because I missed it for this year. So they are really like increasing the seals to also make you want to, I guess, do more of the events that they have going on. Or I guess give you something extra besides that, because they're like, everything should give you something, I guess. But aside from that, I think everything else went well. They introduced to us Solar 3.0, which I figured they would. Like we already knew, like,
Yeah.
we got Void 3.0 during Witch Queen, which I don't think it was for necessarily Witch Queen. I think it was for Season of the Risen. And just
Yeah.
like we're gonna get Arc 3.0 next week.
Yeah, people are
Uh
losing their minds over that.
yeah, and that means like Lightfall will get the second Darkness class, which I'm excited about, and then I guess Final Shape will get the final one. So I kind of see like how they've been doing that because they said they delay all the Darkness subclasses for the 3.0 versions of all of the light subclasses, which I have been appreciating, and I did
Yeah.
like Solar a lot. How did you like Solar?
I liked a lot of the changes. Like I did not get to the point where I bought like I mentioned earlier, I jumped into the season super late, so I just focused on getting through the story missions as fast as possible. And I literally just finished the last one today. So I have not bought all the like aspects or whatever from Ikora yet. So I haven't gotten to play around with everything. But the two things that I did get to play around with that are definitely new that I thought was really interesting that they added was like they added this whole like ignition um mechanic where certain abilities can just set enemies on fire, and if
Yes,
you stack enough of that they just straight up explode, which that was super fun to mess around with,
I've
like
really enjoyed that a lot.
building a build that can do that. And like then also there's even other aspects and fragments that give you like bonuses for igniting things and stuff like that, so that's super fun to play with. And then like just like for Void 2.0 they add or 3.0 they added like a secondary melee for it. I am assuming for everyone, but like at least for the Titan, we got this cool like if you slide before throwing your hammer or doing the melee, you'll do like like swing your hammer up and like a basically like a fiery uppercut, and then if you hit the button again before like that animation stops, your guy like brings down the hammer again and it does this like cool shockwave like out in front of you. It's like super fun. And it's also really cool because it was like it gave you a choice of like, do you want to keep your hammer by like using your throwing hammer, or do you want to like waste the charge that you might not get back like if you were using the throwing hammer, but you can set a shit ton of enemies on fire. So I thought that was super fun to play with. So I honestly like I griped when they just put out Void 3.0 and I was like, why didn't they just update all of them? It feels like they've actually been putting a lot more thought into how to not just like make the current abilities and stuff work with like the grid style of like that they introduced for the for stasis.
Yeah,
They're literally just like how can we improve on this and make it better for each
yeah.
one of these subclasses.
I think so. You said like it was the melee for the Titan, right? That was like a special
Mm-hmm.
new inclusion. I don't know if it's different. Like I only played my hunter this season. I made sure like Witch Queen, I was doing all three and I fucking killed myself
Yeah, that's
inside
probably
because
why
of
you get
that.
so burnt out.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'm just sticking with my hunter for now. It was straight up like a grenade for me. Um,
Interesting.
so you build up, and I have my scatter grenade for the solar one, where it's like you throw it and it's like standing there, and they get 'em in proximity. All like the little pieces start coming towards them and blowing up
Yeah.
on them. But at a certain point, there's a buildup, and you get a new grenade over it instead. So like it doesn't actually take away from your charge of your regular grenade. It's just an extra one, and it's this crazy like stick
Interesting.
grenade, and it is like massive explosion. Like it's not super power, but it's like much more powerful than your other abilities. Where you stick it on something, and there's a good chance it'll take a good chunk out of like a yellow bar, and
Dang.
then it'll kill like a crowd of regulars, and it could badly damage like a major easily. It's pretty like an orange bar would be gone in a heartbeat with this thing.
Damn.
It's really strong. I forget what it's called, but it's like the whole gamble aspect there, where it shows like gamblers whatever, and it fills up, and that thing will pop up. It'll disappear if you do die, and you have to build it up again. But it comes very often where I'm like, oh my god, this thing is fantastic. How strong it is, because it gives me some extra little thing where I don't even necessarily need to use my super on things anymore, because I got this guy, and I can save my super for something else if necessary. So I really appreciate that. I do love the aspects like I've been running. I wanted to pull it up just to double check and see what I've been using. Like for aspects, I've been using like knock 'em down and gunpowder gamble, which is the gum. I think gunpowder gamble is what gives you the grenade.
Mm.
And then fragments I've been using is Ember of Beams, Ember of Combustion, and Ember of Singeing. A lot of that. And if you look at your artifact this time, it's very solar oriented as well, which has been pretty cool. Just like I think there was one I
Yeah.
used a lot. I forget what it was called, but it's pretty much like when you use solar abilities, it'll automatically heal you, which I liked a lot. It's similar in that of like the void one, where if you like melee killed someone, you'd get healed, and that was like the whole thing of like during Witch Queen, you'd run in with a glaive and get all this damage being hit on you, but you just keep mailing everyone, so you kept healing while dying at the same time, and you're like,
Uh,
this is a never-ending story, bitch. Where the solar one isn't necessarily like that, and you don't have the vanishing like you would normally with the void, but just using that ability heals you is a very nice touch there, especially when you're getting into the harder elements of the season. So I did appreciate that a lot. And I think I honestly don't have any complaints on Solar 3.0.
no, I thought it was really fun for sure.
Yeah. Otherwise, the season was fun. Like I said, just in terms of the seasonal challenges, way too grindy. In terms of the story, really great. For the new aspects that they introduced to it, I really liked a lot. And I realized like there is a certain amount now I can visibly see that I haven't done for Witch Queen, Season of the Risen, and now Season of the Haunted. So I do want to kind of like make a queue of like things I want to get done in during the span of like the new upcoming season. Now that I'll be more active again, um,
Right.
but I do know, at least with this new season, we're getting Arc 3.0, which is going to be great, especially with the fact that I'll pretty much very fast run to Ikora and buy all the grenades and fragments off of her for my hunter. And then I'm very curious what the next season's going to be about. And obviously now these
Yeah.
predictions won't really mean much of a difference, but uh, what do you have any idea of what do you think it could be about
Like
personally?
I had no idea because I was not expecting even this season to go back to like the Phantom storyline. Let alone to have like Callus be like the main villain and he's like just like a fungus thing now.
Yeah.
But like one thing that intrigues me was like one of the last things that Eris says to you in the season when you like finish the last like story mission is like that the witness is coming and like the end is nigh. Like she seems to be under the impression that the witness is way closer than like we that than she's comfortable with, I guess. So I don't know if maybe next season we'll start to see hints at like maybe the next disciple that we'll be dealing with or what. But like I think it'd be way too soon to actually introduce like the witness for real, and especially in like a season. I think that would be definitely something for like Lightfall or whatever. Um
Did Vault of Glass come during Season of the Splicer?
Season of the Splicer. Oh man. I
Because
think
that was the
so. It's been a while.
I think that's when it came because I'm thinking like, yo, if King's Fall is coming out, wouldn't this one then be hive oriented potentially
Maybe that's possible.
or
Because
Taken, maybe
because
Taken oriented?
there's still some Siva Roth stuff like that's like they're like Siva Roth's forces are still around, so
Yeah,
that problem isn't taken care of.
that's
And
what I
like,
think it might be about. Is her because I mean, when you think about it, when you look at the fucking Leviathan, you had Scorn and Cabal just working together trying to kill you, and you're like,
yeah.
oh, this is it's kind of
Also,
weird.
like Savathun could come back eventually as well, because like her
Well,
ghost is still out there. We have her corpse, but like if her ghost ever gets back to her corpse, like he could bring her back.
I think I'm seeing one of two potentials. Potential number one, Aramis finally comes back, and we're dealing with the Dark Fallen.
I would be cool with that.
I think it's either House of Salvation and Aramis, or we're getting Siva Wrath and more Hive. One of the two. But those are
I
my
think those are both good
predictions.
bets. Yeah.
And I when you look at the Helm, before Witch Queen, we had in one branch the Elixni, the other branch had the Awoken. Now we have the Cabal in one, and the other.
Hmm.
I'm very curious to see who it's going to be there because who knows what it's going to be. I don't think we're going to get Savathun back just yet because I think when Savathun does come back, she'll be on our side. Just assuming that she'll be like, oh fuck, the
Yeah.
Traveler was going to make us guard, like it was the Traveler was going to come here and we got fucked over by the darkness. I hate the darkness even more now. But I think that'll start off being like either we locate or Amaru comes to us, one of the two, and then that's how Savathun gets brought back. But that could also be not until Lightfall, maybe. I'm not too sure, like the season before Lightfall,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to be this coming season. I think it's either going to be Aramis or Sivu Wrath. Um, but yeah, I got a lot to figure out, and then I still don't know if I'll guild this season either, but at least I'll try to keep up with the story and seasonal challenges of anything. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
all
try to
right.
be more active about like at least doing each story thing
I
each
mean,
week.
my stuff
But
is just like little loose ends that I need to do. Yours is like I haven't done this raid or dungeon yet, and I'm
yeah,
like, what
there's
the
like so many
fuck?
things, but like it's crazy.
And I keep telling you, you just gotta make that. You
I
gotta
know.
make
I
that.
just need to make time, and I just
Be
never feel like
proactive.
doing it.
Yeah. But all right. I think that's everything for Destiny 2's Season of the Haunted. Anything else? I think we're
No,
good.
I think we're good.
All right. Let's jump right into the film Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. Then, this movie, I I enjoyed this movie a lot. This was a very unique film, just like Jordan Peele's other two films.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the style this guy has really been putting into his films because they are, I think, what I want to call smart horror is what I want to call these movies because you watch slashers and all this other shit, usually something with like a white girl that's trying to run from something. And it always feels fucking stupid because you're literally shouting at the screen going, "Why would you do that? That's so stupid. Like, don't do that. That doesn't make any sense." Like, and you go, "Well, they're in a horror movie," and you're like, "And are they supposed to be stupid? Is that the point here?" Whereas
Yeah.
in Peele's films, it really does feel like the characters that are getting taken out by whatever are actually trying, and there's a specific reason of why they get taken out the way they are. And those that do survive, you see them actually doing smart things, and it doesn't feel like anyone's making really stupid decisions unless there's like a big motive. Like, is it Steve Ewan? Is that his name? I have to double check the actor, but he
Yeah.
owns the one that is basically communing with the alien, more or
Well,
less. And
there's also the TMZ guy who straight up like as he's like potentially dying on the
yeah,
ground,
he was. I mean, he was like a dumb white guy.
he's just like, wait, before you help, take a picture of me. It'll
That
look
was
great.
that was so stupid. Oh my
uh
god! But it was you find him. Yeah, Steve Ewan was Ricky Park, and his whole thing was like more or less greed of like
it's interesting.
capitalizing off the alien.
His plan was yeah to make a show off of like there's alien visitors coming to see us. Check it out.
And the whole thing, when you think about it, like when you obviously you guys were spoiling the shit out of this movie if you haven't seen it yet. Go
Yeah,
stop
sorry, I probably
listening,
should have
go
said
watch it,
spoilers
or skip
beforehand.
ahead. One of the two. Uh, every single time the ship comes back, if you listen, you can hear, you look and see like the what's going on at the little western town when they're doing the show. You see the light off there, and then you see it go back on, but you hear the people also screaming like, "Oh my god!" He's been doing that
Interesting.
show multiple times.
Is that what the screaming sound was? I
Yeah, it's
thought
people
that was the
freaking out,
horses
and
making that noise.
well, to a certain extent, yeah, because it would be both. Like it would be like, "Oh shit," and then you hear the horse screaming because he kept buying the horses, and you're like, "Where are the horses going?" He kept feeding the horses to that alien.
Oh, I
It was
didn't
the
even
whole
think of that.
Yeah, it was the whole thing of he was trying to more or less domesticate it to an extent, or think he could train
Or
it,
he thought he could control it.
which was the most ironic thing considering his flashbacks of the literal chimp
The
out with
the
the chimp,
monkey losing its mind and like murdering like at least several people and like horribly
maiming the shit out of that
disfiguring that
girl.
one yeah.
Yeah, she survived to an extent and then got eaten by an alien after. So it's I survived the monkey attack. Oh fucking alien.
Yeah.
Oh god, that must have sucked though. If you really think about that, you survive a monkey and then a fucking alien eats you. God,
Yeah.
that's
Like I
fucking
mentioned a
crazy.
couple of weeks ago, or maybe last week when we were recording, we were like, we might talk about Nope, but that like this movie does an interesting job of like being kind of what you expected it to be, but also not what you expected. Because
Yes.
like it's like all the trailers are like, here's the alien spaceship, and you're just like, oh shit, I guess it's about aliens. And then there's like that one shot in the trailer where like it seems like there's an alien coming around like the corner of the like the horse stall or whatever, and you're just like, oh shit, I wonder what they look like. And then you get to that scene, and it's like it's just a bunch of kids fucking with them,
Yeah.
with like one of the main characters, and it's just like, oh, interesting. Okay, so that's not what the aliens look like then.
Yeah.
And when you finally get to the final revelation that it's like it's not a ship. It's just like a weird giant space animal that just like made its way to Earth and is trying to find food.
It's
And
just
I was just
eating.
like,
Yep.
that's so interesting. And like it even has the thing where it like has like a tractor beam that like pulls people up, and it's like that's just how it eats. That's
Yeah.
it's not abducting people. It's just how it eats. It's like
He it's
that's
a
so
full
interesting, and I never would have thought about something like this.
it's amazing for the sheer fact that it is a full reinvention of the classic UFO
Mm-hmm.
ship. Your flying saucer, and it's like, what if your flying saucer, it has maintained all of its aspects in terms of form, of what it does, but instead of being the ship for a bunch of alien people coming down, in and of itself is a living,
Yeah.
breathing creature that
What if
is
we just
from
like
space or from another planet.
yeah, what if we just totally misunderstood what we were seeing this entire time?
It's it was so fucking cool the way, because it's so smart. Like I said, you never think of this. I would never in my entire life have even fathomed the idea of what if the UFO is a just flying animal,
Exactly. Yeah. And
and
it's
you're
just
like,
like so that's why I'm
what?
like, so it is alien, but it's just not aliens.
Yeah, it's a giant ship that's like, I'm hungry, and this
And
film
then when
is
it like
very, yeah,
opens up and it transforms and it's like got like a jellyfish looking form to it,
it's
and
like
it's
a
just like
space jellyfish. Yeah,
it's
it's like
so interesting. It looks like it's just like a bunch of flying like sheets. It's so interesting and different.
even when you see it's like insides with its throat and stuff, and you see how it eats people, it
Yeah.
does not, it just looks like a weird inside of a machine, and you don't think about it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, that is a creature, isn't that
It's
crazy?
literally like what let's think of an alien life form that is so different to anything you could have ever thought of before,
It's
but still
also,
familiar somehow.
it makes things so much more horrifying because it goes from, oh shit, I'm being abducted by an alien, and you're like, oh, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna probe me? Are they gonna do all this weird shit? But it gives you that hopeful opportunity, that hopeful optimism of, well, there
Maybe
is
I'll
a
get back
chance I
home.
can get back home, I could communicate with them, I can get the fuck out. No, dude, you're going into a fucking stomach and being digested. You're gonna fucking die,
Yeah,
and you're gonna
like
die like in a group of people that are going like, I don't know what's happening. Oh, I just got digested.
yeah,
I'm
I
fucking
was
dead.
not expecting when the whole like the show of people or like the audience of people at the show got abducted, and it just like shows you what happened is like they got sucked up and like moved through all these like weird compartments and stuff, and you're just like, what the fuck is this thing? Like it's so weird. Like the inside doesn't even seem hollow. Like what's going on here? And yeah, it's just literally eating them and then vomiting their blood all over the house.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm done, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, fuck. And they, like I said, they do two really smart metaphor matchups. One being the chimp of you
yeah,
can't, no matter how much you think you've
yeah.
domesticated this animal,
Don't
this is a wild animal,
yeah, don't
and
miss what's the word? Don't underestimate nature, I guess.
yes, and it's just so ironic that Ricky is that guy that is like, I survived this attack. I watched this whole thing happen. Oh fuck, a giant alien ship. Let me feed it stuff and see how it goes with other people. Oh, it's gonna eat me. Shit. Like it's crazy that that occurs. And then the other thing being the flashbacks with their father,
Yeah.
of him being like, you know, how you deal with an alpha predator, what you
Yeah,
deal with
some
a type of
animals
animal.
just can't be trained.
They can't be trained, and also, you know, how do you approach these animals? You can't make eye contact with them, don't look at them, don't do all this stuff. And you
Yeah.
watch that play to fruition of a fucking spaceship of like, if I don't look at it, it's not going to kill me, and it works. And it's so cool because it's showing like, oh, I am acknowledging you as the alpha of
Yeah.
this territory. Don't eat me. And it's like, okay, cool, you're like, you know, you're bowing down to me more or less. So
Like you showed me some respect. Maybe I won't
yes.
like immediately eviscerate you.
Yeah. And it's so cool the way they pull that off, because the way that thing is, the way that ship functions, it literally, it, everyone inadvertently kills themselves because they have no idea what's that in the sky. Dude, you're making eye contact with it, and each time it goes, oh shit, it's challenging me, it's challenging me, they're all challenging me because they're all
Mm-hmm.
fucking looking at it, and it's
And
like,
they're very clear that whatever this thing is, it's very territorial, and
yeah.
that's why it's so aggressive.
And it's also so aggressive because it keeps thinking everyone's challenging him, but it's really just they're so in awe or curious of what the fuck are you? And I love the fact that it's more or less a giant misunderstanding of just like, you
Mm-hmm.
just don't know how this animal works, and because of that you're all dying, and it's eating you all because you keep inadvertently challenging its territory. uh but I did also love the fact that like, when this thing would go over areas, it would also just destroy the power or like turn
Yeah,
off
it
power
had this weird like
temporarily.
EM field, which is like also kind of a thing for like UFO like sightings and stuff. It's just like electronics not working right and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, what if this creature like communicates electromagnetically? Like maybe that's why.
So did this movie scare you?
No, I mean maybe like I did definitely get like freaked out when like the kids were in the alien suits, but as soon as he like punches one in the face and he's just like, ow, I was like, what the fuck is going on? So at that, I think after that point, I was more just curious of like, what even is happening here? So it definitely was creepy at parts. And I definitely like I was super tense when they went back to the scene with the chimp like eating people and stuff and like the kid just like kid Ricky being like hiding under the table and then like especially the moment where the chimp like it sits down
Fist
it's like
bump.
it wipes the blood off its face and it just looks over and it notices
Oh
Ricky
yeah.
and I'm just like oh shit what's it gonna do and yeah it's just like for whatever reason like at that point it had calmed down enough and it's just like
Oh, hey, it's a
fist bump
guy. What's going on, dude?
and then it gets like shot
Fucking
and then it's
shot in
just
the
like
head. You're like, oh.
that entire scene was so tense. So like there's definitely tense moments,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's maybe if I was younger I would be scared by it, but like that was more intriguing,
It
I
didn't fuck
guess,
us like
than
like I
scary.
got fucked up by Signs. That movie fucked me up
Yeah,
for a
that movie
while.
scared the shit out of me
I
as a
was like, the
kid.
showers. Did I ever tell you about that? How I got double fucked by like two movies? And that probably doesn't come out right.
No.
Yeah, so you know, we grow up in middle school. We watched Signs. I remember watching Signs in the school, and that fucked me up because you know you see the alien. It's looks you know it has that real
Oh, is the
feeling, and
other
you're like,
movie It?
or yes. Do you get
Yeah.
why it fucked me up? Why both of them fucked me up?
No, I don't remember a
Okay,
shower
so
scene in
here's
It in
no.
Signs.
All right, so what are the aliens afraid of? What are they
Water.
exactly? So I'm like, oh fuck, you just go in the shower. and the aliens, don't fuck with you. And then I watch it, and the fucking bastard comes out of the shower drain. It's like, bleh, bleh, bleh. And that was the part that scared the shit out of me, was the shower scene. So I'm over there like, so do you with the
Nowhere is
alien?
safe.
Did you go in the shower with the clown, or do you go out there with the aliens? Which one do you fucking do? And I'm like a 12-year-old kid, like, oh my god, this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened of watching these movies. It was, dude, that those did fuck me up though. Like middle school is like the extent of me getting, I want to say, like freaked out by horror movies. I don't think anything like the very last one I think was The Grudge in 8th grade. That was the last thing that fucked me up. And then high school had one. There was one movie, and that was The Fourth Kind, because that was like
That movie was fucking
horrifying
creepy, yeah.
alien shit, and also it kind of fucked up.
It's
Like
not an owl.
I
Like,
couldn't fuck with owls for a
I
while.
don't like that.
I couldn't fuck with white owls for a while after that. I was just like, God damn. It didn't help that like the Court of Owls shit happened right after with Batman. I was like, oh no, more fucking owls. But yeah, no, that I think that was the only other movie that's really fucked me up recently. Oh wait, no. There was the only, as an adult, the only thing that kind of fucked with me a bit was Hereditary.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that, but I've heard
Oh, I'm
like
not gonna
that.
I'm
I've heard
gonna
that movie's like incredibly unsettling.
I'll just say this. I remember it was still at Microsoft, and we were having a meeting soon, but I had already finished my work. So I had like this weird like 2 to 3 hour gap, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go watch Hereditary. So I go to watch Hereditary at the theater, and I just remember there was only a few people in that theater, and there was like this couple near me, and we were just at the same time, just like that when the scene happens, and when I see the scene happens, you will know. When you
Mm.
watch it, you will know the scene. But when that scene happens, we're just all like this is our faces at the theater. We're like zooming in, like, no, that can't. Oh, oh my fuck, that no. And we're all just like, fuck no. Like we're out loud in the theater, like, fuck that, no, fuck you for we could not believe they fucking, yeah. If you watch, you'll know exactly what the hell I'm talking about, because that shit, that was like, as an adult, I'm like, nah, fuck that. I would be gone so fucking fast. You would see me out the goddamn window already. If that, it would be like the fucking cartoon Acme indenture in the wall. It's like the Wile E. Coyote, just like hole in the wall.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
silhouette.
that'd be me. That would be me. Like for what I saw there, I was like, nope, not in a million years. Which is why for Nope, I appreciated this movie so much, because it was straight up just those people being like, yo, I ain't gonna fuck with that. And I'm like, exactly, yeah, I wouldn't fuck with that. It'd be like the aliens are right there, and he's like,
Dude, yeah.
nope, nope,
Like
like I'm done.
my favorite moment was one of my favorite moments was when I keep forgetting the main character's name.
That's the thing. So the characters weren't. They felt like your average people. Everyone in this movie felt like your average people. So you don't really think too much about the name, which is why we're not even talking about them here, because they're not really what was important. Like they were fine, but like it's just the concepts about the film itself that really like
Yeah.
get you in here. But
But I
Daniel
just
Kaluuya plays OJ, and then
OJ, right. I
Kiki Palmer
remember he had
played
like a
Emerald.
memorable name,
I
but
think he called her Emmy though, right? Because her full name's Emerald, but I think her name was like M for
right.
Emily.
Yeah. I love the moment where he's like trying to get the van back to the house or whatever, and this is like when they're fully into their plan to like try to not capture the thing, but like at least get images of it. And the van like breaks down, or not breaks down, but like dies like halfway to the house. And he, for a second, he like opens the door and he looks out, the thing's like right over him, and he's just like, nope. And
Yep,
he
he just
closes the
closes the
door.
door, locks it still too, and oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they do such a good job of balancing, because it's like you're in such a tense situation, and I will say for me, I was like seeing the aliens that were just the kids for a second. That was a little freaky, and then I think it was the whole like it ate everyone
Yeah.
at the thing, and
That was
from
definitely
there
a
to
turning point where I was like, oh, this is gonna be a much darker movie than I thought,
the
maybe.
whole rain sequence was where it was just like really fucked up, because that was like horrifying,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I can't see it,
Dude,
but
that
you don't
poor
think about
like
it because
tech
it's like
guy
a
from Fries is just like, what the fuck is happening?
the fact that like it somehow was able to pull off the fear of just seeing something in the clouds, of just something floating through the clouds, and you do
That
get
was
like
so
that
interesting
the
when they
hair on the back of
finally
your neck going up,
like
and you're like, oh my god,
it makes me
they
want to
pulled it
watch that
off.
movie again to see if I notice that in the background there's just like a single cloud that's just like always there. Because like they do mention that like at a certain point it's like the tech guy shows up, he like comes back out of nowhere and they're like, hey, we didn't call you Angel. Like what's going on? And he's like, oh my god, that cloud is real. That cloud has been there in the exact same position for days.
Yep.
And it's just like, and then they go through the footage and it's like there's clouds rolling past it, and like this one cloud is just like in the same exact position. And it's like it's such a simple effect, but it's like it's so eerie to
Yeah.
like you as a person that's like that's not natural. There's something wrong about this.
It's it's looking at Jordan Peele's all of his movies. He's done 3 now, and you have Get Out, and Get Out, obviously, yeah, I'm afraid of white people. Makes sense, okay. They're gonna take over our bodies. James, I remember
Yeah.
if you do you remember we watched that, and I turned to you, and I straight up just looked at you at the time, I was like, "My girlfriend's white." It's fucking it was so fucking funny, but, like, that movie utilized that scariness of just, like, stereotypes. It turns stereotypes of, like, black versus white into a fucking horror film of, like, "Oh god, they're gonna take over our bodies, invasion of the body snatchers" type shit. And then you get Us, and Us is, like, evil clones, and somehow turned that into a whole thing, and utilized everything from, like, closed throat talking of, like, that just in and of itself, like, you're like, "Oh, this is weird, get me out." Like, they always have some weird thing that's, like, a very simple topic style, and turn it into this much more insane idea of, like, how do we turn that into an overall horror movie?
I think like I love that the name of his studio is Monkey Paw Studio because
Be
it
careful
takes
what you
that
wish for.
concept of yeah, of just like you think of an idea, but what if it was twisted somehow?
Yeah. Honestly, like, on the rise right now, easily, of directors, because like I always feel like I have two different categories for like actors, actresses, filmmakers, and it's kind of like the ones that were of like, yeah, they were really cool, but once they're no longer active, I kind of like retire them off my like top list of people because it's like, who's currently got your attention right now?
Right.
And Clint Eastwood's not there anymore. I just fucking love cowboy shit and stuff, but like he's not really in it. Harrison Ford's on his way out for like acting, and like for directors, like obviously certain directors aren't here either too, and I don't really know how I feel about Nolan anymore at this point
For the
because
longest time for me, like if a Tarantino movie came out, I was like, I need to see it.
yeah, I'm still that way now. Actually, Once Upon a Time in the West, if not proved everything, being like, oh, he's still really good. But
Yeah.
like at this point now, yeah, it's like the ones that have been mainstays at this point were like Del Toro, Rodriguez, Tarantino, um, and then like having Nolan used to be. I don't know about Nolan anymore. Just 'cause I still haven't watched Tenet, but
Same.
I didn't like Dunkirk. Dunkirk was like the "if it bleeds, we can kill it" moment for Nolan, where I was like, he's not perfect. Uh, and also, I know people have a lot of complaints about like Interstellar and shit, but Inception and Prestige are fantastic. Y'all can't say shit about those. Not to mention the Dark Knight trilogy. But Jordan Peele, and I have to look up his fucking name
Yeah,
now.
Jordan Peele literally is one of those directors now that's like, if there's a new Jordan Peele movie coming out, I need to see it.
It's him and Robert Eggers are the two now where I'm like, if it has their name on it, that's all that matters to me at this point. I'm excited for the concepts, but they have now proven to me that they can do so much now. Because Robert Eggers, James, we just talked about in Northman, which was his movie.
Right.
He
That's
also
why I
did
know the name.
The Lighthouse and The Witch. And each of the honestly, they both have done 3 movies now, and both came out this year. And it's just like these two are like hand in hand, the new like up and coming filmmakers that I'm like, okay, all right. I don't know how much more
I
like
think it
Tarantino
basically
is almost done. Del
like
Toro, I'm not sure how much more he wants to
oh yeah,
do.
Del Toro. I think the thing that interests me both about like Peele and Eggers is just like both of those directors consistently have been able to give me movies that make me think about shit, and like it
Exactly.
sticks with you for longer than like I keep mentioning, like I love watching the new Marvel movies because they're fun to watch, but like they don't stick with you for very long. It's literally just like fun while you're watching it, but like I still keep thinking about Nope like weeks later because I'm just like, damn, that was a fucking cool idea. Like that was
Yeah,
a cool movie. And like same with the Northman, it's just like, damn, that was a fucking crazy movie, dude.
exactly. They really make you
And the
turn your brain
Lighthouse,
on. Even
yeah.
if it's like not even like full on like making you think, if it's something that's so just like a spectacle of what you're watching is just like this is a
Just
great story
memorable.
yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or Alita Battle Angel from Rodriguez, or even fucking like who knows how James Cameron's movies are going to come out now and stuff, but all these have had a form of purpose where I really feel like I watched something where I'm like, yo, this is cinema. This is like
Hmm.
this is film. This is like really good shit. This isn't just blockbuster bullshit. And
Yeah,
I'm
this isn't a movie, this is a film.
yeah, and I'm really enjoying it. And not to say I don't like blockbusters. I don't like just fucking insane action movies because next week I want to talk about Bullet Train and I don't
You
know
know, it's
why
just
because
they serve different purposes.
yeah, and I actually have that with Marvel kind of hand in hand because I've realized I talk about that Marvel fatigue and Bullet Train was straight up me out loud going, oh fuck, this is so nice because I'm so just marveled out and this came in
Yeah.
and fucking was phenomenal to me in a certain sense, even though it's not even a award type movie at all. Uh, but we'll talk about that next week, like I said, just because what time are we at now? Yeah, we're done. Uh,
Yeah, it's almost 11.
uh,
I should go to bed.
yeah. So Nope was a great time. I really liked it in terms of like I've been kind of still doing my rankings for movies right now, and it has been changing a little bit. The top two have been untouched, but like number one is still the Batman. Number two is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I know for most people I know actually it's reversed. Most people's top movies is still Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I like I
Yeah.
said, it would
That's
be
probably still my number one for the year because it
I
spoke to me so personally.
so fucking yeah, it did so much good stuff, and hell, I might even switch that and Batman by the end of the year. I don't really know yet, to be honest, because fucking Raccacoonie. I love the
Oh
Batman, but
god,
Raccacoonie is
yeah, it's
just
so
really
good.
so good. But I think after that is still the Northman at number three. I think so. This is where it gets really hard. I'm like, I liked what's it called? The Nicolas Cage movie, with Pedro Pascal. What was it called?
Oh, the unbearable weight of massive talent. I totally forgot about
I
that.
love that movie,
It was
but
so
it's
good.
starting to I guess looking at it when you think about your top 5, it's like which ones still stand out to you? And I'm like, that's the one unfortunately that is now
Yeah.
left the top 5 for me. I think Nope now is at my top 5 and number 4 is still Top Gun: Maverick.
I think I'm just a little bit biased about Nope because I'm like super into alien conspiracy shit, and the fact that they actually mentioned ancient aliens from the nature
Oh god,
from the
yes.
National Geographic Channel. I was like, yo, they actually talked about that show. I love it.
Honestly, I think if it was maybe any of the last 3 years or something, Nope would be much higher for me. It's just that this year is honestly I didn't expect this year is a really good year of film, like the Batman, Everything
Yeah,
Everywhere
it's
All at
been
Once,
surprisingly good.
Northman, Top Gun fucking Maverick,
Dude, Top Gun.
which
I
just
did not
passed
expect to
Infinity
like
War
Top Gun that
in
much.
sales. It just passed that. I honestly kind of want to go back and watch it again in theaters a little bit if it wasn't for the fact that I probably shouldn't. But
It just yeah, like Top Gun just passed the Avengers Infinity War, I think.
yeah, I just said that.
Oh, okay, my bad.
You're still
I,
high. You're too high on the danger zone, man. What are you doing?
that
But yeah,
literally was just like remembering the whole movie, just like that was so cool.
yeah, I think Nope is into my top 5 now. Unbearable Way of Massive Talent is probably number 7, and I'll talk about number 6 next week because number 6 was actually really fucking good with Bullet Train.
I feel like I should have gone to see it with you because I was like
I
not interested at all, and you have been saying like it's actually fun.
it was so fucking fun. It was really really fun. But I'll talk about it next week. But
Eh.
yeah, so that's been Suture Side Talk. If you want to reach us, email us, send us anything, whether it's feedback, comments on the episode, or if you really just want to ask us a question you want us to answer on a future episode, whether it's related to a topic we're going to talk about, or just anything gaming, movie, TV related, or just a question. Fuck it. send it to us at sutrosidetalk@gmail.com. It's the title, sutrosidetalk@gmail.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, very active now, Instagram and Twitter at Sutro Sidetalk, all one word together. And then, of course, you can follow James on Twitter at InvaderJim124. You can follow me on Twitter at GoGoComzilla. All this stuff is in the show notes. All the stuff I just said, you could just find it there on most platforms, including YouTube's show notes. If you are listening on whatever platform, please subscribe on to that platform. And if it's Apple Podcasts, give us that 5-star review. If it's Spotify, rate us. And if it's YouTube, give us a like besides subscribing. Next week, we got a show and a movie. We're going to talk about the 4th season of Westworld. We both watched that, so that's all wrapped up. And I want to talk about Bullet Train because it was a great time. I think those 2 conversations will be shorter than the 2 we just had, so maybe Westworld might be a little long. We'll see.
Yeah, I got some thoughts on Westworld because I'm so confused by this season. It's just so weird.
We'll definitely talk about, if I think that could be the episode where we can throw in 1 or 2 other things off the backlog. We'll see. And then the week after, we're recording 2 episodes next week, but the week after will be the Disney one I've been talking about. So full animation. We're going to talk Lightyear, Encanto, Turning Red, and the fucking Rescue Rangers movie, which might be the shortest part. We'll see. But it'll be, another whole set of Disney movies. We'll throw that in there. And then after that, we'll see. I'll be... the week that one comes out, I'll be in Atlanta for a wedding, and then we'll see what we want to talk about from there. I know I'll probably talk about the Cycle Frontier, because that's an interesting Tarkov-like game that I've been playing a lot of recently. There's also the current event for Hunt Showdown that I might talk about, and James, you could maybe, if you want to play more Hunt Showdown, we could talk about
now that
first,
this season of Destiny is over, I might be able to play a few games of Hunt this week. Maybe.
Yeah, and you could also you can give your first impressions of it as well and just see how you feel about it.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about those. There's plenty of other shit to talk about too. There's a bunch of shows happening. Sutro Sidewatch, our License to Kill episode came out last week, and the next episode we're going to do is either going to be on the Akira Kurosawa film Yojimbo, or we will be doing Sugarland Express, which was the first theatrical debut of Steven Spielberg as a director. It'll be one of those 2, depending on scheduling. It literally depends on who we can get, if they can appear. And then, like I said, when Harley Quinn season 3 ends, you will see us do a Cut of Steel episode about all 3 seasons plus the comic book tie-in for that. So that'll be a good time. Other than that, guys, we will catch you next week. So long.
Thanks for listening.